And 4, 5, 6. We're live, everyone. Yes, yay,
Woohoo!
woo! And now I got a dry mouth.
Nice. And I'm looking a bit more squared away today. Last time I was on, I was pretty ragged, but that was all COVID hair.
Well, and you know what's funny, and I've let this grow out again. I mean, 2 weeks ago I was completely clean shaven and looked 20 years younger because that's what everyone said. Oh, go. Honestly, it's just about the warehouse thing. As soon as it bothers me, it goes away,
Yeah.
and I take the top off too. And it's like, because especially now it's going to get warmer again in the warehouse.
Yep. I was pushing it at work. They were really pressing me to get cleaned up a little bit, but
Oh, I'm fortunate that I'm in the back on the loading docks. Especially these days, it seems like they're transitioning me to be less of a overhead picker guy and more of driving dock stalkers
yeah.
on the docks. I'm okay with that. I'm actually afraid of heights, which my boss has always found funny. And most of the last 5 years, 40 feet in the air, but I'm afraid of heights anything over 4 feet. So my heart rate goes up a little. My watch will beep
Nice.
sometimes.
Yeah. Wow.
But I'm not, I'm not liking being on the dock. I just don't want them to know how much I like it because then they use that against you sometimes. Like, you
Yeah,
better do
that's
whatever, or you better come in, or you better do some overtime, or we're going to move you around because, some companies are like that. Hey, Mama Lego.
hello. Oh, there's George.
There's George.
Hey.
Oh, hey, George.
Yeah, I invited him. I told him I was doing the stream. I was going to review his helicopter. So he's
Oh,
the helicopter designer. He's the one that we have to blame.
oh, man. I almost don't want to do what I'm doing. I just want to jump to you. By the way, everyone, I actually changed some of my background graphics on this today. You probably saw the bumper promo I put out there, but I was going to have our logos above and whatever, and I actually found it messed up a few things. Even though it worked okay on Brad's stream, I removed it on this one just to for getting it fixed faster. If I'd spent a little more time prepping, we would have had that up. But everyone, I'd like to introduce Jason Camlic. He's been on before, but I wanted to give a focus to him. He's going to share the hot seat with me. We're going to talk about Lego and other bricks and our interests and stuff we got this week and just bricks in general.
Yeah, just kind of hang
So
out.
hang out. This is chill time. Doesn't have to be a Star Wars stream. However, hey, I got Vader. Sorry guys.
Nice.
May the first. I am a huge, and I gotta admit, it's 90% my bricks. It really is Star Wars, but I've definitely branched out. That's where all bricks count comes from. It wasn't, once I got, I don't know if the word is bored, but I wanted something other than the fantasy world of Star Wars. And it was like, okay, so I tried a handful of other companies. And then I thought, there's actually themes I wanted, which was the military stuff. So that's
Hmm.
totally how I dipped into some of the Chinese brick companies. Was they were the
Yeah,
only ones, other
the
than
same
Mega
thing for me.
Constructs, supplying a lot of military builds,
Yeah,
ones that I could afford
they're good.
at the
Some of them
time.
are really good builds. I'm kind of
So,
surprised. Yeah,
some of them are, and
yeah,
some of them have been trash, and
yeah,
some of them
yeah,
I've cut my finger because the quality of the brick sometimes wasn't there. I've had parts fall off. So
yeah.
there's definitely some winners and losers when you go down that road.
Missing parts. I'm a big fan of the mobile SAM systems. Kind of the things that I like. And then
Oh,
when did I discover Brickmania? I think it was like 2017 or 16. I picked up an OV10 Bronco that I still have, and I can show you later. But I think that was the first Brickmania kit that I built.
I tell you what I love about Brickmania. Before we move on, is seeing their promo on the front of is it Beyond the Brick, Beyond the Bricks
Yeah, yeah.
videos. Every video because they've been the longest sponsor like forever,
Hmm.
honestly. And I think a lot of people Beyond the Brick is their go-to Lego source, especially for convention coverage. They have probably the best convention coverage when the world was able to do conventions.
Yeah,
And to see that Brickmania bumper on the front, it's like, I love this military brick company,
yeah,
and a successful one from all accounts that can see,
yeah.
and
It's
the
kind of neat
qual.
seeing some of their old kits on eBay. And sorry, a train's going by. Um,
No, no problem.
I'm. Oh, for those that don't know, I'm in Chicago. Um, probably about 2 blocks north of Wrigley Field. Like, so real Chicago, not when somebody says, I have a Brik Mania store in Chicago. It's in Schaumburg. I've been there a few times. Jackson and all those guys are really cool.
It's so weird when people mention names and places because, like, you say
Yeah.
Schaumburg, I say Schaumburg. My Schaumburg is 100 kilometers away from me in
Oh, okay.
north of Toronto. So it's like I know that's wrong, and my brain is like no. But yeah, I
I
want to
go
say
there
hi.
quite a
Mr.
bit.
Blue
Yeah.
says hi.
Hi, Mr. Blue.
We got Brick Maniac Ryan. Ryan, I'm hoping is going to be on a little bit later.
Oh,
He
cool.
had he had an incredible day brick hunting and was probably more successful than I was. I did okay. He did really good.
Oh,
He,
wow.
he he's a happy guy and a good dad too. I'm hoping he'll show off some stuff and tell a
Cool.
story
Yeah,
in the
I'll show
second
you.
half.
Actually, I went on eBay a couple weeks ago and I bought a ton of those aircraft carrier, the U.S. Navy flight deck crew. So I don't know if you guys can see it. So I bought like a bunch of those guys.
A little higher, and what I will do is I will make you.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh,
So the two yellow shirts, a brown shirt plane captain, a couple of ordnance guys, and then blue is I think like not safety crew. If you're a naval aviation person and on this feed, you're gonna kill me because I forgot what the blue.
so
But
this is literally the proper color schemes for a flight deck.
it is, yeah.
Nice.
So I've been going around, and I'm gonna try and make my own because I want to be able to get. I'm missing some green shirts, which are like the recovery and launch guys, and then the white shirts, which are the safety guys. And then I got a couple of I showed these earlier. Those orange Star Wars guys are for the A5 Vigilante, and
Yeah.
it fits really well with the orange flight suits during the Vietnam War. So,
Are you liking the helmets on those figures too? Like they work
um,
well for what you're trying to pull off?
I mean, if you really want to get picky in a perfect world, I would get the squadron helmets, but that's just you know you know how modelers are.
Sure. Yeah.
But it works. I'll take
Awesome.
it. Yeah. So these are pretty cool. I want to make there are a couple dioramas that I'd like to make with them, but I really haven't like I'm just kind of collecting them. I haven't decided like what I'm gonna do with them yet or anything. So
Well, I think that puts you in the same boat with a lot of us. We're
yeah,
got our hands at different pots, trying to have different projects on the go, and someday we'll finish. Nothing's ever finished. You probably like
yeah.
that.
The A5 is kind of special to me just because the wife of the pilot who flew that airplane during that mission where he was shot down, contacted me about it, and I was just like, wow, that's so cool. And I showed him the pictures and everything of the airplane. So,
Wow.
but yeah, that's really where it gets interesting for me. Is like I love doing the research in the history because it's stuff I've been studying since I was a kid. But then, you set out and do a build on it, and you do like a ton more research into like how does the arrestor hook look on the A5 Vigilante?
As the pile of books beside you is
Yeah,
leaning, it looks, from my perspective, it's like this
it
over
looks like
here.
it's going that way. Yeah, it's actually two stacks, and then I've got in front of me a lot more. I'm actually in the middle of replacing a couple bookshelves right now. So
Okay. Well, I can definitely recommend IKEA for cheap but
yeah,
decent. As long as you're not moving them around a lot. If
no,
you're
I'm not.
if you're changing homes, every 2 years, I wouldn't recommend it. But if you're stationary for a while, then they're fine, perfectly fine. Let me all right. Let me crack this open. So this is something. Um, yeah, it's May the 1st for May the 4th weekend, but of course this was something I ordered maybe a month ago, and then of course it got back ordered. And being a very experienced Lego hunter, when you buy online at Lego, especially at a launch event, you cover, if you want the freebies, you cover all the bases. And if you want the gift with purchase, you got to make sure that if the thing you really wanted is might be a hot item and it's going to be out of stock, well, you won't get the gift with purchase 9 times out of 10 if it's back ordered unless you order something else. Typical trick is you order something small and cheap for $5, so you can
Mhm.
get This way, they ship you the freebie, and you get your, in my case, usually keychains or whatever. But a month ago, when these became available to VIP, it was like, okay, what am I going to get? Well, I didn't need some stupid keychain I didn't really want because I give those to my daughter. My daughter's got a fistful of keychains she could kill a person with. But we ordered some Brickhead that both me and my wife wanted, Daffy Duck, and we were, hey, that's a great use of, buying more to get the freebie because at least it's
Yeah.
something we actually still wanted. But hey, Peter Pan, welcome to the stream. But this we finally got in this week, which I had been waiting, and I was really excited about this. Oh, I'm not showing top-down view. Let's see.
Oh,
The
nice.
Yeah, the Imperio probe. Let's see. There's the front
Probe
Imperio
droid.
probe droid.
Yeah.
And I know
Nice.
some people were concerned about the color scheme with gray and then black being highlights and stuff, but I want to go back and watch Empire Strikes Back where this guy's featured, and I'll probably watch the versions that weren't updated because I have VCDs that came from Europe or Australia long before the DVDs and Blu-rays, before Lucas started updating stuff, and I want to take a look at those because I don't really have a VCR to look at my old videotapes, and I want to see what this thing really looked like
Yeah.
before Lucas and other people start updating and cleaning up the footage. Is he supposed to really be black? Because I know my memory is he's black, but I
I
got a
don't
feeling that
remember.
was just another case of the
Yeah.
blue brown Han Solo winter parka. The old Kenner figures when I was a kid. I'm trying to think when that movie came out, and that figure was probably 82 or 84. The figure came with a blue. Boy, it feels like someone's moving a tractor trailers. Um, my whole place was vibrating. The parka on the figure was blue, but I think in the footage in the movie it was a brown. And I know someone will probably debate me on that, but I got a feeling this falls into that same category of what our memories are versus what the
Yeah. I can't
untouched
remember.
footage looks like. So I'm really curious. But you know what? Regardless, I think it's an amazing build. This is one of those things, just like that shuttle that we were talking about offline, that as soon as I heard rumors of this, I want it because I really like where they're going with a lot of these. I don't care about the ages or the branding, 18 plus, that's marketing, who cares? But I love the statues and the heads and the busts and all these less traditional Lego things they've been pumping out in the last year and a half.
Uh huh.
I love where they're going with it, whether it be Star Wars or something else. I mean, this could be that robot from the Short Circuit movies. Short Circuit 1 and 2. And by the way, I know you can take one of those Technic
I
sets and there's instructions to do
I
that
thought I
robot
saw
from
that.
Short
Yeah.
Circuit. And I tell you, I'm really tempted to get those instructions and buy that set, the excavator.
Nice. Yeah.
Hey,
Actually, my
Corey, how
next
you doing?
my next project is well, the T2 Buckeye, the A5, or no, the A3 are two big ones that I'm waiting for, and then I'm waiting for the last parts from Bricklink for the MH65 Dolphin that I ordered the instructions from Brick Designers a couple weeks ago,
Oh, oh, nice.
and that's going to look really cool with the Dolphin with the Jayhawk helicopter that I have. So
So, are you finding now you're buying, of course, instructions from separate designers in that case. Are you finding they scale well together, or is it just no hope of that really working out?
no, like it'll for most I found that they'll say they're minifig scale, and it may or may not be off. Like I did and we can maybe segue into that, but I did a dimension comparison in terms of length for the Sea King and the um, Jayhawk or the Seahawk or whatever you want to call it. Well, there's different versions. I can get into that later. But anyway, the Seahawk, it's really weird that comparing the two because the Sea King is deceptively large,
Okay.
but in the real world, it's actually 10 feet shorter and but taller, noticeably taller than the Seahawk, Jayhawk.
Now it's taller, but does that include like? extra capacity inside, or is that just, is that
So
taken up by infrastructure on the inside? I mean,
we'll take a look at the Sea King in a second. I just noticed that the minifigures in the Sea King, they'll stand. The
okay,
minifigs in the Jayhawk sit.
sit
Yeah, and my
with
understanding on the
with no clearance like over their head, like it's
yeah
tight. Okay,
yeah. So based on like I talked to a couple like pilots and crew that I think that's pretty accurate
okay,
in terms of the size. It doesn't like if I take if I take my Jayhawk and the Sea King and put them next together, if I put them together, the the Jayhawk is longer, but it's not proportionally 10 feet longer. But it's like enough to where like, oh hey, you know. But again, who's going to be like, hey, that's not 10 feet longer? I would do that, because there are some things that like I think most of my aircraft that you can see in the background there, they're all to scale, just
yeah.
about pretty close.
Well, I know when you gave us that treat a couple weeks ago, a month ago maybe, and you showed us some. It's like kid in the candy store. I
Yeah.
mean, I could have just kept my mouth shut and just let you just keep walking and talking and
I think the one thing that's out of scale, see if I can move, is like the SPAD, but you can't really see it. It's like, yeah. But the SPAD was a big single engine airplane anyway, but that's another story.
I mean, I think I fell in love. I mean, we used, with the Toronto National Exhibition, or not Toronto, Canadian National Exhibition. My Toronto ego puts Toronto in there. But at the CNE every year, when I was a kid, they used to have the air shows every day during the 3 weeks. And then, as time went on, so let's say this was late 70s, early 80s. Then probably in the 90s, it probably shifted to only the 3 weekends of the show,
Mm-hmm.
not during the week. Then it shifted to opening day and last day and one day in the middle. And then, because we did have one or two accidents over the years. We had the Snowbirds accident, we had one or two others. You know, it happens. It sucks, but it happens. And I really miss those air shows. And we had everything. I mean, back in the day, we had the Concorde do a
Mm-hmm.
flyby.
Wow.
I mean, Sikorsky's. It was always amazing at the Canadian National Exhibition. And of course, I fell in love. Probably my earliest memories. Well, maybe not earliest memories, but seeing Iron Eagles, Top Gun. I was such a mark for those two movies. What
Yeah.
were they, 6 months apart? And
Yeah.
it didn't matter if some of the aircraft in the movies weren't what they said they were. Didn't care. Loved
No,
it.
I used to get in arguments. I can remember being a kid and Iron Eagle 2 coming out and saying that was an F4, not a MiG 29. And I knew the difference at a young age, what the
Yeah.
difference between those two airplanes was. Plus, it's during the Cold War. Ain't nobody getting a MiG 29 to film a movie.
Well, okay, that's it. I didn't know better, but I was smart enough to know how would they get during that time, like even if the Cold War's winding down and things aren't so hostile between nations, it's like, how would they get that aircraft for a movie? It's like, uh huh.
No, and that was like, I went to college the late 90s, 92, 91, 92. I was in high school right at the collapse of the Soviet Union. And I can remember driving where I went to college. They had the airport, and I just happened to be driving by and almost ran off the road because I saw a pair of MiG 29s sitting on the ramp. And it turns out, oh, yeah, those were MiG 29s that some guys bought. And yeah,
Well,
nowadays
yeah,
you can,
because private, I mean, you could buy the surplus
yeah,
stuff, and
yeah,
some of it not terribly expensive, but
right.
you got to figure out how you're going to get it from point A to point B.
Exactly. And nowadays you can swing a kitty cat and hit like a MiG 15, 17, 21. I had a chance to see an Su 27 once in Rockford, Illinois, but that's another story. Um,
Oh,
I've seen a lot of MiG 29s. If you go to the Air Force Museum in Dayton, they've got like a 27 and a 20 or a 23 and all the early ones. But it was quite the novelty when I was a kid. I'm like, wow, look at that. And now it's like, oh, there's a MiG 17. That's nice.
I can't imagine being like that. Like, it's like,
Well, I mean, because of the job and flying to different airfields, somebody's got the bucks to spend and buy a MiG 15 or MiG 17. Um, I kind of do get impressed with somebody who buys like a MiG 23 because that's just not an airplane that like it's got a bad reputation, and I kind of look at it and I don't like that airplane. I mean, it's interesting because it's such a novelty, but
Well,
I don't like
I'm,
that airplane.
I don't know if I got this right, but wasn't it such a piss poor aircraft that it was literally, all the electronics and avionics in it that kept it even flying? Like
Yeah, it's not. I don't think
it's
it's
hard,
just
like a
that.
hard to fly kind of
Yeah,
aircraft.
I mean, it's one of those internet argument things that you get into with people about how good or bad the MiG 23 27 series was. Um, it was good for what it was built to do, like as a mass numbers point interceptor. But in terms of like dogfighting or fancy air show stunts, it's not really that maneuverable compared to the U.S. fighters at the time. I think the closest analog that we have to it is probably the F4, and the Air Force used to use the F4 as a MiG 23 simulator in dissimilar air combat, but it's there's a couple U.S. owners that have them and that love them and swear by them, and a lot of them are former A6 guys, and I respect them, but it's just I don't like that airplane. As a fighter, the Israelis loved it. I mean, the engine, that thing could accelerate like you wouldn't believe. Like it could out accelerate in F-16 clean. So in terms of like straight line power, I mean, they used to out accelerate Tomcats, and just about the only thing that wouldn't was like a MiG 25. I talked to guys that served in like the Gulf of Sidr during the 80s, and they were intercepting MiGs, um, Libyan MiG 23s, and those things were just rockets. You know,
Now, do you think one of the reasons the Israelis loved that aircraft so much was their airspace wasn't really that big, and they didn't. It's not a lot to cover, and
Yeah. Part of it is you got to look at the different versions too. I mean, a vanilla MiG 23 is far different than like a MiG 23M or a MiG 23 MLD that the East German Air Force flew. Part of it is kind of the design philosophy of the engines. Like Soviets built really powerful engines to be used in a really relatively short period of time. So they were very powerful. Um, I mean, it was an airplane built to do what it did. Some people swear by it, but the Red Eagles out in Nevada flew one in the Cold War, and it killed like a major general that was flying it. So, and guys that flew it in the Air Force in Tonopah and the Red Eagles, some guys liked it, but I haven't ran into one that did that like swore by it. You
see
know.
some of this is over my head,
Oh,
and then this and some of it is no,
so
and some of it I'm
the air
on
yeah, the
the
Air Force flew MiGs during like the Cold War, so they had like the 15, the 17. I'm not sure if we ever had a MiG 19. But we had like mostly like MiG 21s, a couple 23s and 27s that flew like dissimilar air combat over like Nellis, over the desert ranges north of Nellis in Nevada. Um, and one of those projects was called like Have Donut and Have Drill, and those were specifically for like the MiG 21 and the MiG 17. And they would go out and fly, like do a performance comparison just to see how they performed compared to like U.S. fighters and that kind of thing, and see how you would fight it in a situation, that kind of thing. So just to provide like a measure of like dissimilar, dissimilar, like a I don't know what you call it, but some dissimilar training. Just
I
to
got I got a question for you. Maybe
yeah.
you can answer it. 6 months ago, what made some Canadian news up here was that uh, our airspace was invaded by Soviet Soviet aircraft, and that there was an interception by some American aircraft out of Alaska. And I'm really curious. Now, clearly, Alaska is not just snow all year and all that nonsense, just like Canada's not snow all year and all that nonsense. But I'm curious what would be the aircraft of choice that they would have stationed in Alaska as early, intercepts. What would be the U.S. Vehicle?
Like if you
That they
had a
would.
choice, and it kind of depends. Like the
Oh,
primary
whether
question
I'm,
is,
I'm I'm just thinking of half the year. It's between either it's too dark or it's sun all day in Alaska, and
Mhm.
how cold it can be. I'm
Mhm.
just curious what would be the aircraft of choice up there.
Well, I mean, most of the photos that we've seen out of Alaska and north are F-22s. I mean, they're the most capable
Just best all
platform.
purpose for everything.
Yeah, I mean, they can intercept targets the furthest out. I mean, that it's either going to be those guys or F-15s. They're typically. I mean, all due respect to everybody in Canada, the CF-18 is a relatively short-range airplane, but
Yeah.
the F-22 is probably by far the most capable.
Well, that was the running joke was that um, 6 Canadian aircraft had to break off, and of course the American one kept going and going and going, following, intercept, and made them turn back. And it's
Mhm.
like, so what were they doing flying over, Alaska and then over northern Canadian territories? It's like, oh, hopefully nothing. No one
Nothing.
wants
Testing defenses, doing what they've always do.
poking.
Yeah,
Hey,
gathering signals.
because no one is going to shoot anyone down over a flyby.
You hope not, but yeah.
Yeah, well, we're not trigger happy. We're not.
No, I know, but things happen.
Yeah,
Did you want me to start doing the S3,
please.
SH3? The S3 is a far different platform than the S3. So I went and got the Brickmania. Well, I actually bought the 53 CH53 because it went on restock, which was cool, and did get it. And then at the last minute, I set you can go on the Brickmania site and set an email alert if a kit suddenly becomes available. And I went out for my run, and boom, suddenly two were available. I'm like, pick that sucker up. So I got it. I was very happy. So I'll pull up the box first. So this is by George Hicks, and Brickmania is pretty smart. You know, do the they use like non full time Brickmania designers, which is awesome. There's been a few other non Brickmania designers like Nate Cragen, but this is by George Hicks. So I really really like this helicopter. I
And
do remember seeing it.
George is still in the channel. I hope.
I hope so. Yeah,
I hope so.
I
Everyone
can't
say
see.
hi to George Hicks.
Um,
I'm trying
so
to
it's a
see.
really beautiful looking helicopter. The this particular model is the A model. And you can tell because of the pitot tubes, and I'll bring out the model in a second. But I just kind of want to mention um, the color was really hard to find. My understanding was, and it's like a really weird like blue gray, which was the Sea King wore very early in its naval career. Um, I think it came out in '63 was the first flight, or '59 was the first flight. '62 or '63 was when it first entered service. This was the first helicopter to be turboshaft powered, and
Really?
was also, yeah, and was also the first helicopter. See, previous to the SH-3, the way the Navy flew anti-submarine aircraft was to use one aircraft to locate it and another one to kill it because it couldn't carry enough payload. So they called it
So,
a hunter killer
but
team.
basically, they dropped bombs on it once they identified it. I
Uh,
mean,
Torpedoes,
or am I
depth
thinking too
charges,
simply here?
some rockets, sometimes bombs, particularly for diesel subs. Um, Part of the issue was by the time the SH-3 came out, the Soviet Union had radically expanded their submarine fleet, so they were using a mixture of nuclear-powered boats and nuclear-powered boats. So the rockets and bombs and things like that still had a use. So they, like I said, they would use two different aircraft to like prosecute a target, a submarine target. So the SH-3 was really the first anti-submarine helicopter to do both hunting and killing, and that's because the turbo shaft power gave them a lot more payload capability. So it's a really interesting helicopter. Um, it served in the U.S. Navy until about 2006 is when the U.S. Navy retired it. Um, it was replaced by the SH-60 Seahawk. Canada used this, and a number of other countries used the Westland built versions. But it's a pretty cool helicopter. You can see it has a boat hull. and I'll bring out the model.
Canada actually has a long history using various Sikorsky models.
Yes.
Our CN Tower wouldn't have been built without it.
Oh, using the sky crane, yeah.
Yeah.
So here's helicopter. It's freaking beautiful. He did it. George did a really
Ooh.
great job. You can see the little patch on the side is for the HS3 Tridents. Um, and this helicopter, so it was released as part of Space Month for Brickmania because I think this particular aircraft, I don't see a bureau number on it to distinguish an individual helicopter, but this particular helicopter was used to recover the Mercury capsules during that program. So, like I said, this is an SH3A. You can see it kind of has a boat hull on it, and you really get the full effect because it kind of abruptly cuts off at the back. So it does have like a limited amphibious capability, but the standard operating procedure was to do that only in emergencies because you can actually damage some of the equipment that's normally like the various aerials and that kind of thing that sticks in there.
Makes sense.
Cool things about the model. So it's 5-blade rotor, main rotor, and then a 5-blade tail rotor.
Is that unique for a tail rotor to have five?
The number of blades,
Yeah.
I don't really know. I haven't like some of the more modern helicopters. I haven't seen 5 blades. Some of the older ones I have. I don't really know a lot about helicopter aerodynamics, but that's I think a product of how much horsepower the engine produces and something to do with I'm not a helicopter pilot. Disc loading.
Okay.
So if there's a helicopter pilot that happens to be watching the stream, maybe they can chime in. But
Oh yeah, I have pilots everywhere. No,
let me put this thing down so I can actually put the
I.
blade back down.
You are currently my official aviation expert. You're going to be
I
my
am far
go-to.
from an expert on helicopters. I joke around with quite a few friends are Navy helicopter pilots, and I joke around with them frequently saying the only way that helicopters get to fly is by beating the air into submission
Yes, I hear that. I
and
mean,
repels
it
you.
is such an unnatural vehicle to stay in the
Yeah,
air.
it's ugly as hell, but it's like
Yeah.
kind of beauty to it. So you can see up front the twin T58 turbo shaft and the two pitot tubes up here. To me, I did ask George what version he intended this to be, but I think it's an A because later versions have like this big cover over the front, like a particle, not really a particle separator, but just kind of to protect the engines.
Okay.
So the older one doesn't. The landing gear was a pretty cool feature too. So the landing gear is functional to an extent, and there's like a little strut down here. I don't know if you can really see the bottom of that before I drop this, but
I mean, it's pretty
it's
clear.
also it's also accurate to the aircraft, which is really impressive to me. Like those are the features. I'm not a big playable guy. I just want to make sure it's accurate to the actual aircraft.
So is there any? Okay, so every piece is Lego.
Yes,
Is there any custom pieces that were one-offs for this set? Like
I
anything unique
don't
to this
really.
build?
I'm not really sure. You would have to ask him. I don't really know.
I mean, I'm looking and it looks.
There isn't that much printing. Like the 57, there was like one of the few decals. All the other like little like the Excellence Award, the Stars and Bars, and the Navy on the tail there, like that's all printed like UV printed brick or however Brickmania does that.
Very nice.
So it was like I was just like floored by that. Um, let's see what else. There's opening doors on this side, so let me turn it around because you can actually like open the door. And if you've seen like the president come out, it's the same model helicopter, so you can kind of get an idea of like, you see him go in the door or whatever. U.S. president.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know what Canada uses for this for that
Prime.
type of role.
Well, Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's another door that has a divers, and I'll show you on the other side. Um, so this is a rescue hoist. I don't typically put the string on because sometimes, especially with Dan's helicopters, there's like a winch and you can like play with it. I don't really play with it like that. I mean, you can if you really want to. I've never taken off the door, so that's the door right there where you can see the windows. So I'll just do that. See what happens. Yeah, the piece comes off, not the whole door. So we'll just take the door off.
Well, I mean, they're display models. That's what these are,
Yeah.
right? I mean, this is not a 6 and up toy.
No, definitely not. Yeah, I'm just dropping the pieces.
Yeah, don't do anything you're going to regret.
No, not yet. I'm surprised I haven't dropped it.
We had Corey move a large Death Star on one of my streams, and it
Yeah.
was in a dozen pieces before he was finished moving it. I know he regretted moving it.
Well, you know the rule about building Lego, don't you? Like you have to drop it at least once for it to be like a legally completed Lego model of something. So you
Yep.
can see here the two divers that are. It comes with five minifigs, two divers, two pilots, and an air crewman. I'm gonna take off the top too, just so we can. I'm gonna try and take off the top.
Uh-oh.
Um, so you can see the two divers that are there, like
George is watching, so do him
yeah,
proud.
that like stand. So there's a lot of standing room, and that's pretty nice because of the model's the same way. If you've ever stood in a Sikorsky mid-year model helicopter, like let's take the HH-52, which is kind of like a single engine version that the Coast Guard flew. You can stand like I'm just around 6 feet tall. I can stand in the back of that thing. So it's pretty accurate in that respect, which is pretty cool.
Sweet.
So yeah, you can see the little naval air crewman there in the window. Where did he ruin my finger? Yeah, there it is, right there.
There he is. Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of has an attitude problem, but no. Okay, I'm gonna try and take the top off. I'm afraid to, but okay, top is off.
Ooh.
So, which is cool, which is intended. I'm gonna go over the top first because the you can't really tell by looking at it, and I'm not gonna like remove it, but a lot of the fuselage around the rotor was a really challenging part to build because it's like, man, there are just so many complex pieces fitted at right angles to each other, and then you don't understand like quite what you're building until you look at the model and you're like, oh, and like there's different ways to go about featuring different features of the aircraft, and you can't really tell maybe the view, but like this is a separate assembly. It kind of lifts off a little bit here just
Yeah.
because I don't have it turned down. So I thought that was pretty interesting because I'm putting it together, and this is among the last pieces of the helicopter to come together. I'm like, man, I wonder how he's going to do that. And then, oh yeah, there it is. Try removing. I'll remove the blades. I haven't folded the blades yet. They are foldable. One of the benefits about liking naval aircraft is it can save you space on the shelf. You can see that Super Hornet behind me that has
Yeah.
the wings folded up.
Yeah.
Um, I really like like I said, the pitot tube feature with the turbo shaft inlets are pretty sweet. I really like that. So that was pretty neat. And then of course the HS3 Tridents, which did the Mercury recoveries. The patch was pretty sweet. They did that. So
Nice detail.
yeah, it was beautiful. I mean, like I said, there were not many decals. A lot of printed tiles. A lot of printed tiles. I think the only two things that were decals was, let's see, was that little indication right there of danger, keep away. There's one on the other side that was like a printed tile, and then the 57 on the front. That was a sticker too. Everything else, like the USS Intrepid on the buoy, on the landing gear sponson, I mean, and like everything that you see on the side, everything else is all printed tile, which is pretty sweet. Let me see if I can turn this thing on its side to show kind of the inside. So the inside has a divers there. It's got like a stretcher or a litter, I think is the correct military term.
That is incredible how much room is in there.
Oh yeah, I mean you could do a lot with that. Um, I thought, and I'll pull this out to show you guys because that where the air crewman is sitting is really cool. Like it's just a sweet little detail, and I'll kind of show you. And I was going to do some research into this because the helicopter was an anti-submarine helicopter, but like this is the console where he sits. So it's got like a printed tile with like a representation of like some dials and a scope and that kind of thing, which I really have to look. It could be, it looks period correct, right? Because if you've ever seen a military airplane from that time period, a lot of the buttons and stuff are like just really big, and have like the functions printed on the buttons themselves. So it looks really like, it looks just really accurate for a 1950s, 60s helicopter. So it's pretty
Sure.
cool. Um, and I'm not going to pull out the pilots because they're kind of tight in there. I mean, like way tight. I'll pull out the air crewman as a example.
It
But
looks
the
like you'd have
pilots
to
are
pull
in
out
the,
the windscreen to get the pilots out.
yeah, you have to like pull out the nose, and like I did drop it a couple times, and that was like the most frustrating part, was trying to like put that part back together. But it was, I got through it. It was okay. It's just kind of a thing. And I wish I could really show it in there, but the cockpit display for the helicopter, like that's another cool part. That was like, so the Jayhawk and the Seahawk have like the MH60 standard cockpit display, which is like a multi-function. It's not a CRT. It's a I can't remember. I can't think of what you would call it, but it's like a touch display, and there's like four of them, and that's how they look on the helicopter. So it's just impressive because it's like so accurate. And that was the big conversion that the Navy did from the SH to the MH, was to add this like common cockpit that could do like integrated sensor displays and just all kinds of really fancy stuff. If you ever go on YouTube, look at an MH60 cockpit video. It's really fascinating to watch because you can like program your displays in the aircraft just like however you want. It's crazy. Okay, so air crewman, come on out.
So that probably would have been an early, I'm trying to think, TFT display, because you said not a CRT, which would be cathode ray tube, TV style.
Yeah, like the
So
CRT would have been like would have been like late 70s, early 80s, like when the F-18 first came out, because those, it wasn't vacuum technology, but it was like a cathode ray tube, right?
yeah,
So then you get to like flat screen TVs nowadays, and now you go to like, I think they started coming out in like the late 80s or 90s, and that's when they started coming out. And then they got small enough to go into fighters and helicopters and things like that. So it's kind of an interesting, if you look at a SH versus an MH60, it's like CD, it's like a DVD to VHS comparison. It's pretty crazy. All right, so there's our little our happy naval air crewman, and it's got like the vest, the survival vest is pretty cool because that's period correct for air crewmen at the time. So it's not really like fancy or what you'd see today, but it's kind of like distantly
oh,
visually
hey,
related to the
okay,
Mae
you
West.
you turn that figure very quickly. That's
Oh,
got side printing under the
oh yeah,
arm.
yeah. It's got the I think that's the Trident's patch. Yeah,
Yeah, so you're printing on
yeah,
the arm, printing on the torso under the
yeah,
arm. So
yeah. And the helmet's pretty cool. It's like an old school like Navy type flight crew helmet. So I think I don't remember. I think it's a HGU 33 is the designation for that. It's not like the newer like J Hickams that you'd see like a fighter pilot wear or something like that. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I should break out the MH60 has really cool side printing on the arms too for patches. It's got that Gadsden flag Navy patch on like one arm. It's pretty cool. So
wow.
that's the air crewman. It's pretty neat. I was really happy with like how that turned out and the way it looks. Plus, he's got the badass mustache. I mean, if you look at that guy, this guy's mustache has like 5 kills already, man. I mean, that's crazy.
I love it. I love
So
it.
the other the other
I'm
pilot.
envious. I was envious of the set, and now I'm envious of the figures. That's
Oh, it's beautiful. I love it. Like I had mentioned something to him over Instagram about the color, but and I was kind of like, I don't know if I want that. But then he did better research than I did because I didn't even know they made Sea Kings in that color, and it just pops. Like it's just way better. Like especially I took those photos outside in my Instagram. Like I haven't been outside with those models, and just to take pictures of them outside was just like they all pop. It was just unbelievable. So that was the Sea King. I'm pretty happy with that.
yeah. By the way, I am loving the photos outside with the sun against the
Oh man,
grass and and the concrete.
I gotta go do some more. I think I'm going to.
You got to find a nice parking lot so you have a
Oh yeah, the
large
black tarmac.
black tarmac
Yeah.
for it.
Well,
Um,
when I took the 53 out, it was kind of funny because I took all three helicopters out, and I carry the CH-53 like a baby because that thing is like. I was joking if you ever
you're
watch.
brave. I'll give you that. You're brave because I know a lot of
I
people
was
like, nope,
scared.
it's not moving anywhere other than my desk
I'll
and
bring
my
it out if
shelf,
you
and
want.
that's
It's
it.
pretty cool. I like it. I mean, but if you ever watched the YouTube Lego guy Shy Time,
Yeah.
I had messaged him about it, and he's like, "Yeah, that's not swooshable." I'm like, "I'm gonna make it swooshable." It's not swooshable.
No, Shy pulled out some of his sets on one of Hive's streams, and then I went, "Oh my God, he's one of us. He loves that
Yeah,
stuff." But
yeah.
I mean, he showed three fighters, and I think between the three it was $2,800.
Oh
And I
yeah,
went, "Oh my God!"
yeah.
Like we were
Today's
all in
pull.
shock.
Yeah, he bought like three super Hornets from Brick Veteran. I'm like,
Oh,
damn, that's crazy. I mean, I have a super. I the Super Hornet I have that you see in the back, like
yeah.
that's from Plain Bricks. So, um, Jonah Padberg did that like a long time ago, and I got it, and that was a fun build. Um, but the landing gear. But anyway, yeah. So I thought George did a really great job on the Sea King. I love it. I really do. It, like I said, it was kind of funny. I brought out the Jayhawk. You know, it's all Sikorsky helicopters, right?
Yeah.
So it's 123 years worth of Sikorsky helicopters in either the Navy, the Coast Guard, and the Marine Corps
Are you
in total.
serious? Wait, wait,
Yeah,
wait.
I did the research, like first flights and things like that. And I was taking pictures of it, and a cop car came by. And my dad was a cop, so I talked to cops. You know, we spent like 15 minutes talking about Lego and about aviation, and it was just a really cool thing. I did get this, and I'm sorry to deviate. I did get the Wildcat too.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty. It was a pretty fun build, which I liked. So I thought I don't remember who the designer was, so I do apologize, but I thought it was really good. If oh by the way, if you guys can get the Sea King, you should. If you're watching, if you can afford it, it was just a fun build. It's hard, but I've built like over 30 airplanes, so for me it was just like relaxing.
I tell you, I definitely got to start dedicating a budget to, even if it's just one a year or two a year, because these are just beautiful.
Are you familiar at all with Nick Kramer?
No,
He
I'm
does.
not.
Oh yeah, thanks George for bringing that up. Yeah, I did. I posted so the if you can find the photo on my Instagram of the three helicopters, I posted it in some like random helicopter Facebook group, and the great grandson of Igor Sikorsky commented on it and really liked it. So I was pretty stoked about that.
Oh man,
That was just that had kind of like made my couple of days.
you know
It was
what?
pretty. It was pretty cool.
You now have what is going to be. You know what NFTs are?
No.
No, no, yeah, NFTs, non-fundable tokens. This is the internet rage now. This is like the new
Oh really?
Bitcoin. You can sell these things. There's some sort of digital mucky mucks that it's a one-off thing. You could sell someone that apparently can't be reproduced. Like you would digitally sign it somehow, and you could take that one digital event in your life where someone's commented on your photos and such,
Yeah, it's on my
and
Instagram. I took a
and sell that to
screenshot.
someone, and then they
Yeah,
would now have this one digital print
that's pretty
that is
cool.
authenticated by you, by the that is commented by the grandson of Sikorsky. It's like,
Yeah, that
That's a
was like
unique. That'd be a
I could
unique
not
thing.
believe it.
Right up
It was
until
really neat.
NFTs go pop, and then the world realizes this is silliness. People are selling NFT. They're selling these things. I'm not even kidding for $1.5 million dollars.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Uh,
God, what times we live in. I don't know if you're familiar with like NK Custom Bricks or not,
no.
but he does like a lot of military aviation stuff, and I got one of his things that I just wanted to show you real quick. But this is I think it's an MD3 U.S. Navy tow tractor,
I love that.
and it's into scale. So I've got the minifig, the flight deck minifig. The blue guys drive like the like they do the chocks and chains, and they do the tow bar, and
Yep.
they do the tractors and that kind of stuff. But I thought that was cool too. That's going to go into some kind of diorama probably. But I mentioned him because a few of them. The second model I built was an F5. If you ever seen Top Gun, the black F5, the MiG 28 as they called it, that was the second model that I built. So I've got that Lego MiG 28
And that's and
over
that's
in,
your
over in
custom mock.
no, it's Nick Kramer.
Oh, Nick's. Sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
Nick's.
So if you go to nkcustombricks.com, that's his site, and he does a lot of really interesting work.
I'll have to add that
Um,
to
yeah,
the
he's doing
show
a
notes.
He's doing a Tu-95 Bear right now. It's pretty crazy.
Oh.
Yeah, a minifig scale Tu-95.
Now, of course, you've done your fair share of customs.
Yeah, some stuff. A lot of times, yeah. My attempt at let's see, an MH60. I don't have the rotor on it because I'm trying to rebuild it, but yeah, I have it all folded up. That's when we get into the arguments about the different naval variants of the Seahawk. So there's the UH-60 Blackhawk that the Navy flies, and then there's the SH-60 MH-60 that the Navy flies. This is an MH-60R, and you can tell because there's a FLIR up front on the top. So right there. Um, and then the way that the tail wheel is positioned, it's mid fuselage. Well, not mid fuselage. Yeah, mid fuselage after the tail rotor. And the MH60S, which you can kind of see on the corner there, that corner, the tail wheels all the way back, like on the Army helicopters. So yeah,
Yeah,
this was
I was
a
just about to say, isn't it more common for the rear wheel to be further back, just for landing purposes? Just because it seems like they lead with that tail as it
I
comes in.
I'm not really sure what Sikorsky's rationale was for putting the tail wheel here. I mean, if I really had to guess, I think it's because it was to make the tail foldable and just more compact and a smaller
Oh,
footprint on the ship. Um, but I don't really know. That's just me guessing. And I'll show you the MH60S. This is I think it's Dan's MH60 from Brik Mania. I might as well bring out the Jayhawk too. So that's the MH60, and the tail wheel's like right at the tail, and
yeah.
and all that mess is foldable too, but I don't really fold it. But um, yeah, the door
I love
gun,
the look of that.
yeah, it's really cool. Actually, I did a couple modifications to it because I talked to a guy that flies them in the field and flew them in Afghanistan. In the theater, they don't really fly them with the doors that much, so I
Really?
took the doors off. Yeah. Aside from like ferry flights and that kind of thing, they don't really use the doors that much. And then if you've seen the videos, like the designer studio videos or the recent, this just came out for re-release of Brickmania, but the wings, like it has wings with a quad set of Hellfire air-to-ground missiles. They don't really carry that much either. They kind of, I don't know. Colloquially, the aircrew referred to it as a doomsday loadout. So I don't really think it.
Really?
Yeah, I don't really think it's that common. Um, but it's kind of cool just from a visual standpoint to see all those missiles hanging there. So you can see here the FLIRs at the bottom. on the M8. This is the Sierra, the MH60S. Um, so and then it's marked for the HSC 85, which they do the special operations support for like SEALs and that kind of. Their job is primarily, hey, we deploy SEALs, we work with SEALs. So it's a pretty interesting unit. Like I said earlier, they're about half reservist, half active duty. Um, Kind of a very necessarily secretive squadron. So I did send a photo
I'm
of
still
this
taken
to the
back by what
squadron.
you said about the doors being open. I'm sitting there thinking, like, doesn't that create a lot of drag? But maybe it's just never
I don't know.
going that fast, or it's always just flying so
Yeah,
low. And
I mean they don't really go much over 200 miles an hour, so I would imagine that it's kind of a trade-off from what do you gain tactically by not having the doors on, right?
right,
Maybe you get a better visual, field of view would be my first guess, but I don't really know. So I did send a picture of this to the squadron, and they really liked it, so it was pretty cool. So
I would
that's
love to
that.
have that.
And then it just came up. I think it's back up for like refill order on Brickmania, and I'll bring out the Jayhawk too because I really like if I have something that I consistently play with a lot here, it's the Jayhawk, and that's only because, like I said, this aircraft is marked for Coast Guard 6048 right there on
Oh,
the side, and then the towards the front, it's got the Traverse City, Michigan patch. So they have the three MH60 Tango Jayhawk.
now see,
Um,
Lego. Why can't they do this? That's a Coast Guard
yeah,
recovery machine. I
yeah,
mean, come on. They can't. They can't find a line in their hypocrisy to give us something like this.
yeah, and they can't. Well, there is a. I don't know. I need to talk to somebody about this because I'm kind of curious. But they they went through the same designation change in 2007 that the Navy did, going between the SH to the MH. The MH60T and the Coast Guard used to be called the HH60T in the Coast Guard before they changed it. Anyway, I don't know. I have a feeling the change was due to the M prefix, I think, is multi mission.
Okay.
So the Coast Guards, my theory is the Coast Guard started doing more like armed type interventions. They actually bought a helicopter that was built specifically with like a 50 caliber sniper rifle where you could take out the engine block and it go fast,
Oh,
called the MH68, I think. And they fly, well, the MH65 Dolphin used to be the HH65, so but I just don't know how that works, and I was kind of curious. But if you go to FlightAware, I always see this thing on FlightAware all the time, like going up and down Lake Michigan and flying around Chicago, which is kind of cool. So
yeah.
I'd
We were
like to
talking
get
about this
around it.
last time. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll show you the cabin. See if I can get this thing off.
Don't break. Don't break.
Nope, it came off pretty smoothly.
Oh, clean.
And then I'll just turn it. So
Well,
you got the two pilots up front, and then a rescue swimmer, a medic, and a crew chief. Um, that crew chief, they call him something different in the Coast Guard, but I'm not really, I don't remember what I used to know, but I kind of forgot. Um, this Coast Guard helicopter is from Unicorn Bricks. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
that I've heard of, but I again not. I don't have any. That's for
Yeah.
sure. Wow.
But it's a very nice helicopter. It's kind of interesting to go between the MH60R that I built and then to look at the different building techniques for essentially the same helicopter, but like different variants, because you can see some of the differences between the three. But and you see
And
that printed
again,
tile,
a lot of room.
yeah,
Surprisingly.
and that printed tile in the center. Like again, I mentioned the cockpit. Like that's a printed tile with the displays, and both of those are accurate for the MH series of helicopters. So they do their work pretty well. So, but I enjoy this one. This is probably for now it's my favorite one. anyway, because it's pretty swooshable and it's pretty sweet. Plus, I see it all the time if I'm around here. So,
I'm actually, I'm trying to think. I'm about 4K from Downsview base, but it's more of a museum than
oh
an
really?
actual. Yeah, I mean, they've got two airstrips there still. We don't hear much other than the powering up of aircraft once in a while. Rarely do we hear or see anything actually take off. Seems like they just knock the dust off, put some oil in, run it. We hear it for 5 minutes, and then we don't hear it take off, and then power down.
I mean, there's a lot of interesting things around here. Just like we see transient. I see transient KC-30s from the Royal Air Force. Every once in a while, we'll see a French Air Force A400. I mean, you wouldn't think about it being Chicago and everything, but yeah.
Oh
Um,
my
I'll
goodness.
talk a little bit about the design stuff that I do. It's not a lot. Like I said, I have a lot in that I'm working in studio that I use. Um, but yeah, it's challenging. It's stress relieving, that's for sure. I was explaining that to my landlord. It's pretty cathartic, especially for nowadays. If you guys saw that CNN article about not the military Lego, but the like how Lego's value has gone up like over the past year.
It. I mean, we're all dealing with it. If we're trying to buy anything old, we're screwed because
Yeah.
everyone's stuff is now gold, and
Yep.
it's hard. Um, I gotta believe there's 3 times as many people in it now as there was over a year ago, and that's not a bad thing. It's
No.
it's just it's a little harder for some of us when we're hunting stuff, and that's okay. I don't begrudge anyone trying to, figure out, a route through the madness we're in now, and this stuff's great for it. As long as you
Yeah.
don't go broke doing it. 'Cause you know, I mean, if I did another 2 or 3 years like the last 2 or 3 years, my wife would probably divorce me.
Oh
So it's
yeah. I the when I bought the CH-53 and the SH-3 all within about a week, that was like really intense.
yeah. I mean, my
Like that
wife
was really
doesn't
crazy.
begrudge me any of the big purchases, like this and the one I tried to make
Yeah.
last night, but it's like as long as there's a little balance and a little space and time between some of them,
All
you
right.
know.
I'm gonna break out the 53 because that thing is just a
You
beast.
you dying to do it. I could see it.
Oh man. Even I posted the picture of that 53 on Twitter, and the American Helicopter Museum liked it. So
Oh,
I was like, yeah, that's pretty badass.
I don't know if you noticed, but when I took your Instagram photo and I slapped in my background and I added a nice soft blur, I tell you, I don't know how old that photo is, but it's definitely got a Tom Cruise esque.
Oh,
Take a
actually,
look at
yeah. If
that.
you want to, there's
And
there's
is there
not really
story?
a
What's the
story.
story of that photo? I mean,
So that photo was taken at well, it used to be Naval Air Station Quonset Point, Rhode Island. I think back in 2017, their F-14 Tomcat was on display. So I went there. I can get into why I was there anyway, just to meet a bunch of people. But me and a good friend of mine, Fringe, I don't know if he's on the feed or whatever, but we went out there to look at the Tomcat specifically because we grew up in Top Gun 2. We love that airplane. I probably knew more about the Tomcat when I was like 15 or 16 before I knew anything that much about cars. Um, so that's all it was just goofing off at that museum there. And then that museum closed eventually, and that Tomcat went to the U.S. Naval Academy and is sitting out there. So
oh, great photo.
it's yeah, it's a cool photo. I like it. If you notice, my thumb is sitting on the little radar warning receiver horn thing, and that's like a big aircrew no-no because I can burn you. But
Oh,
whatever.
really?
Yeah, I didn't know that. I mean, that's the I know quite a few Tomcat aircrew and maintainers, and that's just kind of something.
Radio waves are dangerous, people.
Yeah, anything RF in that proximity, yeah, that'll
Yeah.
fry you. All right, the 53. They say you can do anything in an airplane once, and I always say you can make anything swooshable once if you really try hard enough. But yeah, this
Look
is
at
a
this
beast.
beast. Now, from one angle, when I saw the photos and I was looking at the front, I go, "Oh, it's incomplete."
Oh, because of
Just
the
yeah, the
three
way
inch.
the well, no, the front it's like black or trans clear. The
Oh,
front windscreen there as it wraps around the front a
yeah,
little, and it
yeah.
just visually from the small photo. I'm looking at it on the phone when I was looking, by the way, earlier, and it's like, oh, it looked like it was slightly incomplete. That's what I'm seeing on a 4-inch phone, but it's like, no, it's
Yeah.
not incomplete. It's just the design feature. It's like, and now I can
This
see it
thing,
clearly.
this thing is a beast. I wanted this thing when it first came out. Luckily, I got it. But then the ramp comes down, and I don't know. I'm not. It took me an hour to get the roof on the thing, man. It was crazy.
Really,
Yeah. I mean, it was just. I'm gonna try and move that so you can see it, but there's benches on the side that fold down, and then there's two pilots and an air crewman, I think, in the airplane.
okay.
But yeah, and you talk to people in like San Diego, they know all about these things because you feel them just as much as you see them. It's kind of funny. They are a beast of well, the largest Western helicopter. I mean, the Soviet ones are bigger, but this is about size limit for the United States anyway, for NATO. I'm not sure how close the NH-90 or any of those come up, but
And in Marines there with the bars and star, that's a print
those are decals.
decal. I tell you, they look good.
If you look at the portholes on the windows, like that little like um
The little corners.
yeah, the corner, that's a printed tile in trans clear.
Ooh,
Yeah. I had somebody ask me about that earlier. But yeah, those it's like that I don't know what the part number is, but it's like what you would use for a window or something.
yeah, that's smart.
Yeah. So yeah, shy, it's swooshable if I want it to be, but it won't be. And then it's got actually another one of my favorite things about this was the chaff and flare dispenser there, just under the M.
Yes.
Those are some really neat printed tiles. Well, that top tile for the chaff and flares is pretty cool. The particle
How
filter
how
on the
how hot do they get when they? I mean, it's got to be crazy the heat coming off
I
those.
mean, it's enough to decoy. If it's a flare, I don't have numbers on this. Those are not generally known, but like it's hot enough to ideally decoy a heat-seeking missile or something.
Heat-seeking missile. Yeah.
These are stickers. The particle separator on the engine inlets on the three, those are stickers. Probably
Um.
pretty hard to do a printed. Well, I mean, in theory, I guess you could if you really wanted to, but
Hey,
it all
Lego
comes.
on half the opportunities they don't. So not on
Yeah,
that piece.
yeah.
And then it's horrible when we're trying to figure out how we're going to get around a cone or a half cone. It's like, thank you, because they can do it, but they don't in half the opportunities.
Yeah.
And then we cry when we ruin what's probably a very good build, short of that one sticker in that one spot that has a very important detail.
Yeah, I wonder how they do that. I mean, I've kind of experienced a little bit myself about some of the stuff that I've designed and built.
I mean, pad printing is, of course, best on a flat surface. You could do it, on a rounded surface, but to do a 180 or even if you were to do a 90-degree curve, it can be tough, but you can absolutely do it.
Yeah, it can be done. It's
Yeah,
just how much are you willing to spend to do it?
yeah.
And I'm sure there's I don't really know a lot about 3D printing, but I'm sure there's other techniques like UV printing. I think Brickmania uses and some other things.
Well, it's, now you can get a UV stenciler, for burning and etching on Amazon, like 50 to $100,
Really?
which is
Wow.
the stuff's yeah.
That's not bad. I mean,
It's not bad, and like the one I saw, now it's a box unit, but then you could take the unit off and you could literally hold it against a dresser, and then just roll it. It's got two rollers, and you can roll it, and it'll UV or whatever etch into the surface. Like, oh
yeah.
my God, where this stuff is going is amazing. And I'm thinking, I want to do this on bricks. I really do. I gotta,
I
study it
I
a little
should
bit
look at
more.
that on like Shapeways or something because I'm sure somebody's doing that already.
Gotta
Maybe.
be, gotta be, gotta be. Let me show you my road trip today.
Oh
So,
yeah.
um, he's not a YouTuber, not yet. I'm trying. Jonathan M. Hudson, good friend of mine, been buying from him for years. Usually the CMFs, the Lego minifigures, the series that come out. Basically, when I stopped buying them in the stores with my daughter, when we'd stopped filling the blind bags, he popped up. He always had good prices on the sets, and he stopped at hour and a half of me filling up figures in the store. And it was always great deals. And we have been friends ever since, like 4 years running. I bet you I've bought 15 series from him now. It's just been ridiculous. And when the most recent series came out, I asked him once again. I actually stopped collecting the CMFs because it's not building Lego. Just collecting a minifigure and putting it on a shelf to me is not building. I like to build. Whatever it is, I like to build stuff.
What does CMS stand for?
Collectible minifigure.
Oh, okay.
And Lego originally started doing 16 to 20 figure sets. They're making about 12 figures in a series. I don't know. There's probably been about 25 sets now in 7 years. I mean, and of course the most notable is Mr. Gold. They did a limited run. Of course, it's blind bag, so you had a chance of getting. I think there was about 5,000 of them.
Hmm.
And of course, everyone went totally ape for it.
Wow.
And I was fortunate to get one open and one still sealed with its numbering and everything. So
Nice.
yeah, and then so by the way, we're in lockdown here in Ontario, Canada. We're not supposed to be doing anything other than shopping, working, and doing exercise. But it's like, so he's had this for a little bit for me, and it's like we had to. I'm used to taking Saturday road trips. Before COVID, it was because in the Toronto area, let's say within 1 hour drive in any direction, 10, 15 times a year, there's a convention or a toy show or an antique show or something. And usually you can find bricks of some sort. Either way, I love antiquing. I love going to all these shows. But we
Hmm.
haven't done any of this in, you know, 13 months. We're going
Yeah.
crazy. And today, the weather was great. It's like me and my wife got in the car. We drove most of the way to Niagara Falls. I'm sure you're familiar with Niagara Falls. And it's like, because he's in that area. And it's like, what a great day for a road trip to go out there. And it was in good traffic, and the traffic was great. I put the car in cruise all the way there. The car practically drives itself. Love it. Hands off the wheel and just chilling.
Oh,
L-
nice.
love technology. Um, hey, you don't even have to put your feet on the pedals. It's great. Um, and it's cheaper than $15 to ship it to me. So it's like great. We go out there. But of course, before I head out there, he goes, "Hey, Rick, I got some other stuff. You want to take a look?" And it's like, yeah, this would be a good time before I get in the car with the wife, see if she wants any stuff. And actually, it turns out I got some stuff that she wants too. So
Nice.
this, so he did all the feeling out. So he gets me a complete set. So whatever it is, 12 figures or 16 figures, whatever it is. And the most recent series is Looney Tunes CMF. So Wile E. Coyote, all that kind of great stuff. And then what he does, and this is what I love. So he gives me all the original packages and then all the original inserts, which are pretty much just,
Well, like,
just like the trading card days where they, tells you what cards you can get in the
yeah.
pack. Well, it'll show you the 12 figures or whatever it is. So he does this. So I get everything as if I open them, and I don't mind that he's done it because I mean the alternative is he'd feel them and say, okay, here's the 12 packs, but if you take them, you're trusting that he felt them right. It's like no, open them up. What do I care? Because honestly, I showcase these once or twice. I put them on a board, and eventually they go in a Ziploc because I'm foolish, and this is what you do with CMFs. Because I don't see any reason to do anything else with them. But you get all the let's see,
Oh wow,
yeah, you know,
that's pretty cool.
Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner,
Yeah,
and I mean people are in Taz and the Martian. I mean, people say, "Oh, why isn't this character there or that character?" Well, there might be political reasons or social reasons, and but there's Warner Brothers. There's was it Space Jam 2 is coming out this summer. I fully expect some characters that aren't in here to be in those sets when they come out. And then I won't open these up, but basically he repackages them for us.
oh nice.
So now I get to open them up blind again, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, wow, he does all that. That's pretty crazy.
Oh yeah, Jonathan M. Hudson. I mean, Bricks Underground, guy's great. So, but he's been sitting on these for weeks.
Yeah,
But COVID, we're not supposed to, in Canada right now, like in Ontario, it's bad for us. Like 3,000 to 4,000 cases a day,
wow.
and yeah, it's. I
It's kind
mean,
of the same here.
I just got my shot
Oh yeah.
a week ago, and within 5 minutes, my arm was on fire. The next day, I was bedridden. Like,
Jesus.
I thought I was dying. And then the day after that, perfect.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife, same, she got it 5 minutes after me. She got a little tingle. Nothing.
Yeah, we've COVID's affected a lot with the Lego stuff for me. I know, like I had signed up to display a lot of my things at Brick World Chicago in 2020, and I had bought a table and done all the blah, all the jump through all the hoops to get it all ready. And then within like a month, I built two other things that I was going to display, and it got canceled. And then I looked into 2021 this year, and it got canceled again
Oh, so that's official
in
now?
Chicago. Say
It's
again?
official. It's official. It
Yeah,
is canceled. Okay.
yeah. I think they're still having it in Milwaukee, but
And
I don't
I
want
know
to.
they're still trying for Virginia, aren't they?
Yeah, I've heard that too, but I
Um,
don't know. And I've talked to a number of libraries about kind of talking about Lego and talking about naval aviation since that's what I like to do, and putting them on display there. But it's like COVID's just ruining everything. I know. So we're not supposed to do all this stuff or whatever. But in Illinois, about an hour south of here, they have a big Grumman TBM Avenger reunion. So
oh,
yeah, these guys that fly the TBM, like it's all. I'm not sure if it's all of them, but it's pretty close. It's quite a few of the numbers that are like you know flyable. They all gather in Peru, Illinois, for this TBM Avenger reunion, and that's taking place in a couple of weeks. And I'll bring out my Avenger model because I actually have one. But
awesome.
it's a model of one that's flyable, and my plan is to go down there in a couple weeks and get like a side by side photo with the model and the actual airplane.
I'm just trying to get. I don't mean to be rude. I'm just trying to see if I can get
No, that's
Ryan's
okay. I'm gonna go
attention.
grab it to show you.
Please. Awesome.
So this one is not swooshable. God, it is not. It's like folded wings and like it falls apart easily. It's got like
It
its whole.
looks so heavy.
Oh, dude, it's heavy and it's not like it's from NK Custom Bricks. It was one of his first builds. I'd always wanted one. I did see somebody out there that had a mock for one, but I'm like, I already got one, so it's like, what the hell? But it's got. I'm like scared to drop this. So it's got a little turret right here. It kind
Yep.
of moves around. It's got. Well, the wings are unfoldable, but it falls apart just really easily. Um, Maybe that's a better view.
Nice.
And it's got like all the features of the aircraft, the elevators and the rudder moves. It's a beautiful airplane, but it's based on one that's flyable. And I'm going to bring this down to Peru for the Avenger reunion and get a side by side photo with the real one. So It's well, Canada flew these in their navy, but
Yes.
it's a really interesting airplane. It's one of the biggest. I didn't realize what a beast it was until I built it. But God, it's a lot of airplane.
I can see you struggling. Where am I going to put it?
I know. My next move, I'm moving out of Illinois and I'm getting a bigger place.
Just because you need it for the hobby, or you just need it, period? Bigger space,
Yeah, big period.
period. It's amazing how the hobby will force us into certain actions,
Yeah.
whether it's putting stuff in storage or, you know, getting bigger accommodations, period.
Okay. So I'll probably do that throughout the week. I'll probably put some more pictures up on Instagram of taking outside photos and that kind of thing.
I'm not sure if you've seen the Lego movie,
I
but
did a long time ago.
this was one of the sets that he showed me before I got on the road today. And I said, yeah, 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 hold that for me. Don't put that online. And it's this ridiculous looking tricycle thing. Or, unicycle. But it's a triple unicycle. Emmett's tricycle, they call it.
Have you
And it's
ever
like,
done any of that Lego stop motion animation stuff?
I've I've done stop motion builds
Oh,
where
okay.
I've put a clicker in my hand and taken. Actually, there it is there. But I haven't done it in a long time, so I'll build with this little Bluetooth clicker.
Yeah.
It's invisible in my hands, and I'll take a shot for every step or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And what I'll and when I've done that, it's kind of cool because I'll take the shot with my hands out of view, so then it looks like, of course, it's building itself. And there's a lot of
Yeah.
techniques to doing that, but I just found this is the fastest, quick, and dirty way I can do it because I can keep the clicker in my hand. It controls the phone quite easily because I use the phone for that function. And I've done it on small builds because I've done it on a build that had 1,600 photos, and that was just painful. It's not that it added time to the build, but watching my phone try to assemble all these photos and then
Oh, yeah.
it's
Put it
like,
in sequence and everything.
yeah. It was fun to do, but I don't know how people sit there and they animate stuff. And like Brik is one of those guys. He did a review of a Ninjago set, and what he did was he did some stop motion. So he moved his sig fig through the set, and then that's how he reviewed the set by having narration over it. But watching everything he did to have movement and have cars drive by, it's like, and that was just to get a few seconds of good video. It's like I'm impressed. It's
That is
so
pretty
much more
cool.
work than I could ever put into something. But yeah, so this is one I got for me. It's not that I would want a lot of sets from the Lego Movie too, but I just thought that is just the most ridiculous looking thing, and the price was right, and it's like, but I only, and the reason I got that was because of the other sets. Everything he showed me, I either have, or it was modulars and I didn't want, um, or it was seasonal stuff. Now, seasonal stuff I don't buy for me, but for my wife, she loves this kind of stuff. So this
Oh, wow.
is, some Easter chickadee kind of whatever. And I'm not sure. Where's my camera?
That's weird. It looks like a Wallace and Gromit kind of thing, but
Yeah. And of course, this is her cabinet where she does the seasonal Christmas
oh,
stuff,
wow,
and
that's
then
cool.
whatever the gift with purchase kind of stuff is, or seasonal type stuff, and
Yeah.
that's a lot of what's going on there. So when an opportunity comes up to get a new one sealed dirt cheap, it's like, yeah. And then I'm trying not to look in the bag because he said he put something in here. He'll slip something in. And then I got this one, which I could have swore she had, but she said she didn't. And
Those are
again,
weird. Yeah.
the brickheads.
Yeah, those are really weird.
And it's kind of funny because brickheads they threatened to kill it off 2 years ago. And because it wasn't selling well, the Marvel ones weren't selling well, the Star Wars ones were in junk bins, and those are the only ones I really bought. But it seems like there's been a huge resurgence in every new brickhead that comes out. No matter what the theme is,
Hmm.
they sell out pretty good, and then people desperately want them 3 months later when they're hard to find. Oh, what did he slip in here? So it's got the weirdest stuff. By the way, I don't know if everyone would get something. I guess they're like lapel pins, some sort of Avengers.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, it's Groot.
Sorry, I'm
That's
putting the helicopter back together while I'm looking at that.
yeah, no, yeah, it's Groot from Guardians.
Everybody
Uh,
says our mayor looks like that.
oh no, poor guy.
Probably shouldn't get political, but I'm just saying it's pretty
By the
funny.
way, apparently there's going to be a Groot movie. How did I end up with this one? Here we go. I can't imagine being. That's what public knowledge. Like everyone just thinks he looks like Groot.
Yeah.
She. Oh, that's not good. That is worse.
Here, actually, I might be able to take this apart just to show you because I thought it was a cool feature of this helicopter. So that comes off. Shit. No,
Oh no, that's a horrific
I got it.
sound.
So this is the top where the rotor was. So that kind of makes the casing around the rotor. And this is the top without it, which I thought was a pretty freaking ingenious in my opinion. But so yeah, there's a winch there where you could run a cable through the hoist, through the fuselage. So and then
Nice.
the top, like this essentially like the top of the aircraft assembly with the rotor thing in there. So it's kind of neat. I found it an interesting feature. So yeah, it was. I don't know. I'm still amazed at just how tall this thing is for a helicopter, but that's the whole top of it without it. And you see like some of the non-viewable. You can use like whatever color you want for the helicopter for the non-viewable stuff.
When it comes time to move, what are you gonna do? Are you taking these apart, or are you gonna transport them one by one?
No, I've got like what do you call it? Like storable boxes that stack on top of each other. So
So you'll bubble wrap or
yeah,
balloon wrap
I'll bubble
them.
wrap. I'll probably take some of the main components, like if I can fit them all, fit two models together by taking a couple components apart. I'll probably do that.
One of my buddies when he moved his models, and I laughed when he did it, and it was pretty smart. You can get air fill, and of course you can use bubble wrap, but he
Yeah.
used balloons. I thought, well, wouldn't they pop? He goes, you'd be surprised. You can blow them up to whatever size, and you space them out. And given that the rubberized texture of the balloon, it actually worked really well to stabilize his models.
Hmm.
As long as in his case, he had a lot of battleships. So he had to be careful for
Oh, like
guns
the
and
antennas and
aerials,
stuff. Yeah.
antennas. But once he dealt with that little issue, and sometimes it was just he would make a cardboard subframe first, and that would protect against any little pointy bits. And then he would use the balloons. It's like you can get a pack of balloons at the dollar store, and he said, yeah, everything arrived great. It was beautiful. It's like
Wow.
that's just genius.
I mean, I remember when I first moved up here. Yeah, a lot of plastic models broke, but okay, I'm gonna remember how to have to fit that. I got pieces here. I don't remember how they fit on the helicopter.
Oh
I'm gonna have to get the
no.
directions. It's like two little pieces. Like this little guy, I think goes. Whatever. I'll figure it out.
Oh man. I
That's
feel bad.
unfortunate. I mean, it looks right to me. I don't know. A lot of these things I don't know a lot about the airplane until I go build it, and then I'll go look and make sure everything is like accurate.
Yeah. I built a Chinese set of a Gundam. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Gundam or Gunpla. Big mech, except this was a small version of
Oh,
this.
like Robotech kind of thing.
Kind of Robotech, yep. Kind of
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. And my buddy had gifted me this Chinese brand set, which was only, when you built it, only 6, 7 inches high. Miserable build, low quality brick. They're actually ton bricks, so they're like a quarter of the size of Lego.
Yeah.
Same stud style, except they're a taller stud. And it was horrible. And if you breathed or farted or whatever, it would literally fall apart. And I had it on display behind me when I used to have my builds behind me. And a couple weeks ago, when I redid my setup, and it's like, okay, I gotta get everything behind glass. The cat's starting to get at stuff again, starting to get nosy again. And I walked it 12 feet from here into the living room to where the display cases are, about 12 feet that way behind my computer. And sure enough, it dropped and shattered. Now,
Oh,
well, it went back, it was six big pieces, put them back together. And then I had a handful of little ones, and I looked at it like I'd only built it a month or two before, and it's like I couldn't remember where any of these went. I put it all in a Ziploc, zipped it up. I go, F it. It's going in the box. It was one of those things. I was glad I built it because I wanted it originally, and of course, he didn't realize I was actually hunting for this set because
wow.
it was very obscure. The set, even for Chinese stuff, it was obscure. And yeah, because anyone who watched me build it watched my frustration, me curse for like hours and hours. Because it's one thing for me to build live, and I'm looking at the chat once in a while, so I'm distracting. That's cool. I mean, that's what I get out of it. I love the conversation. I mean, we're all bored at home doing something, right? And this is what I'm doing. And that build was so miserable, and the problem solving. And I'm at a point where, okay, I've got the parts, I got the instructions. I'm looking at it. I go, there's no way these people ever actually built it based on the instruction. They cheated or they lied, or the guy who it was hand drawn instructions, not even computer printed stuff from like Stud.io or anything, because it's not Lego, it's something different. And it's like they lied, and I sat there and go, you know what? Where's my snips? And I took my little modeling snips, and because there were so many extra pieces in the set, I go snip, snip, because there was a four stud connection that was supposed to come together, but you can't put the four studs into the receiving end, into the female
Yeah.
end. But if you take two of them off, it fits fine, but it fits loose, so the arms just, if you're not careful, they'll just fall out of the joints. Well, guess what? That's what happened when I moved it 12 feet. I should have glued it. Stupid me, I should have glued it.
I will glue occasionally.
Yeah. Well,
Very
because
occasionally.
cause you're building a display piece, and there's
Yeah.
no issue with that. I mean, when I built the 24-inch version, 28-inch version, which was an incredible build, but that one had its own problems. Now, that stuff is basically Chinese Lego in every way, but it was high quality.
Hmm.
Clutch, grip, shape, color, texture, um, the smooth edges, all that. Everything was on par with Lego, just no Lego on the studs. Built that as per the instructions. And as I'm going, it's like, okay, I can see what they did here. They mimicked, they didn't outright rip off a mock design that someone had posted. They definitely were inspired and lifted a lot. But what they didn't do was they didn't do their research, and they probably didn't build this out properly. And it looks like when they had a model of it in the software in Stud.io or whatever, they started removing what they thought was unnecessary parts, because as I'm building, I go, it's quite obvious they're supposed to put a part in there. There's no instruction and no part. So
Yeah.
I'm adding bricks from my own bulk parts as I'm going, and I'm posting these updates. I don't know what it took me, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to build this. Two, three, actually, it was probably 3,500 pieces. It was a very big model, 28 inches tall. The thing, if you built it the way they wanted you to, and there was a slight stand that would go up between the legs, if you dared let go, this thing would fall and do a face plant and smash into a million pieces. I know this because just building up the legs, you started at the legs. When you got to the hips, the legs were so heavy, like half a kilo or close to a kilo each. I'm not sure how many pounds it is. So heavy, the legs would fall down.
Wow.
So as you got to the hips and the upper torso, it's like, there's just no way. So I had to modify the stand, and I posted the instructions because guess what? Everyone who ever built it, as per the instructions, and gave it poor reviews because it would face plant and destroy. Everyone was rebuilding it two, three, four times. Like, no, I'm smarter than that. I'm going to glue four pieces, and I used real Lego pieces that I had a lot of,
Hmm.
and I figured I'm just going to snip and glue and do whatever. And I made my own little custom attachment because guess what? Even the angle that they had the stand connect to what's basically the crotch of the robot, if you did what they wanted you to, the stand would be the only thing supporting the weight, and the legs would do this.
Oh wow.
and that was bad too.
Yeah,
And
so
it's
they
like,
like took a mock without even like thinking about the weight distribution
yeah,
at the yeah.
and whatever photos they had, they probably BS'd it or whatever, or they a little bit of prayer, a little bit of Photoshop, whatever. But it's like, okay, so I treat not just Lego. I mean, I've modified some Lego sets as I go, but anything I've dabbled in outside of Lego, I feel like that's an opportunity for me to have to get creative because that's where the quality difference is sometimes. Lego tests and play tests and drop tests their designs, and generally they're very good. Even if people don't like them, there's a certain level of quality to the build.
I'll show you the one of the Chinese kits that I got. It wasn't the first one. The first one was an SA4, and it was just a pain. But some of their some of the kits, I can't remember the Chinese name of the company, but was this is probably one of the first ones that I got.
George is bidding us adieu for the night.
All right,
Thank,
man.
thanks for hanging around, George.
Yeah, thanks, George. Looking forward to the next one, man. It's gonna be good. I'm looking forward to it.
I am very, very tempted to pick up a George build now.
Yeah, it was pretty cool getting. Like I said, they're pretty. Brickmania is pretty smart since Cody left, but they've been using a lot of like Jonah Padberg from Plain Bricks. Nate Cragen did the X. If you've seen the X1 set with the Micro X1,
I think so.
he he built the Micro. He designed and built the Micro X1, and then Jonah did the the minifig scale one. So they do a really good job. This is an SA14. No, wait. I think it's an SA14. The Buck, as they call it. Soviet sound systems are very confusing in terms of numerical designations, but this was one of the first, I think, like off-brand Chinese set that I ever built. And the missiles move in azimuth. No, they move up and down, and then and they came apart a little bit, and then the radar kind of does a little turret thing, and it's got built in. Let's see if I can turn this. There's kind of like a whole mess system of what are knockoff Technics, if you can kind of see that Technic-looking piece there that the
Yeah.
turret rotates on. But the track is just a rubber band, which kind of sucks. But I liked it just because it's something that Lego doesn't do.
So here's a question: the tracks, like, do you see a seam since it is a rubber track? Because one of the problems I find with a lot of the Chinese tracks is eventually they dry out and the seam splits.
No, I haven't seen that. I mean, I don't know if you can really see it there, but they kind of got like another like tile, more or less. I don't really see like a seam on it.
Okay.
So
It also doesn't look like it's high tension. I know some of mine are under
no,
so
it's
much
it's not.
tension that
Yeah,
it almost wants to pull the build apart, and that's been a
yeah.
problem too.
I know for some of the because I also build quite a bit of Kobe, and some of their tracks I don't like. I don't really like their tracks because they're not that detailed. Brick Mania's probably got the sweetest ones, but
So
Kobe I
do
could
do
kind
you
of.
prefer a link track or a rubber track?
I don't really know. I think I prefer the Link.
I like the links only because if there's an issue, I can fix and replace them. Hopefully,
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Kind of, you mentioned about using Lego from your own stock, and I'm just kind of getting around to this because I've got um, one, two, I got like four huge boxes that were formerly like kit boxes. Like I've got the Central Perk set that I built, and the box is pretty big, and I've got the Brickmania Tomcat. The box is pretty big, not being used anymore since I built that sucker, which was a pain. That thing is. I'm kind of laughing since Brickmania released their directions now. Laughing at the guys that are like, "Oh, I'm so glad I got these Tomcat instructions." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, have fun building it." It took me over a month because there's a lot of filler brick in it. You know what I mean?
okay.
Like, it's a fun, it's challenging because there's so much of it, and you don't really think about it because you don't see a Tomcat sitting there, in real life all the time. But it was a long build. Anyway, I have all these parts. Do you sort your spare parts, or what do you do with those?
Okay. I
I
can't
went off
pull
on
it
a
out,
long tangent there, but
but wish. Trying to think of what's the easiest way I could do this.
I bought
But I
these.
have so what I have is I got two different systems for because I used to do a lot of mocks. I should say a lot, but I did like to build some mocks. So I had um, what was on my desk here, but when it was behind me, I had these little drawer systems. So
Yeah,
65. It was
yeah.
an 8x8 system,
Like a
and I
tackle
had
box or something.
well, I had nine of these blue 64 drawer units, and basically that had probably 80% of my preferred building bits. And fortunately, they were also the preferred replacement bits for any mostly Star Wars type builds if I was
Yeah,
short something. When I was
yeah.
buying used sets, something short, I had them because I was also buying a lot of garage sale lots, a lot of bulk lots from people. So I use this. The problem is that as handy as it is to have all that, it's not always the best use of space. So below me, I buried three of them behind my boxes, and then six more at the edge of the desk. The ones that are down there at the edge of the desk, um, those are probably my most needed items in grays and blacks
Hmm.
and whites. Those tend to be what I need when I'm doing the Star Wars stuff and something's going wrong. Those are my go-tos. Then other stuff, I got plastic shoe boxes from the dollar store. I got hundreds of these. I'm not even kidding. I got hundreds of these things
Like
unsorted,
those. I think
just
I
by
know what
color.
you're talking about. Like
By
this, like
this,
not actual
6
shoe
inches high.
size.
Well, you could put shoes in them technically, but they
Okay.
are. It's a plastic shoe box. We get them in our dollar stores.
Yeah, those
Two,
are the ones you find in the hardware section, right?
yeah, $2 or $3 a shot.
Yeah, I've seen those. Okay.
Um, and Home Depot sells them too. Usually same size box, very similar.
Because I bought two of those. Like I don't know what you'd call them, but you can like I just don't know what you call them, but you can like they have like 60 spaces or whatever that you can use.
Yeah, trinket.
But I don't think
Okay,
it's going to be big enough. Yeah, something like that. Except it's like 3 feet high.
3 feet high. Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's a big one. But you
yeah,
see, these are our dollar store specials and the things. I've been using these forever. If I get a used build and I have to pre-sort, or if I'm doing a Technic Lego build and you gotta do sorting anyway, I'll use these, and I've got handy, literally within reach, 12, 14 of them. I can
okay,
put them all out on the desk,
yeah,
pre-sort, and then I won't ever lose anything, and then I can close them up if I'm halfway through. Cat can't get at them. I don't lose anything. Uh, uh, I'm I'm not a neat freak, but I definitely like organization.
yeah. When I
Um,
do a build, it's kind of like a shotgun approach. I'll dig and yeah,
oh,
it's
I
not the best way
th-
probably, but
there's nothing funnier than watching me on a live build sitting there and I'll dump the stuff out and it's like, where's this one piece? And it's worse if it's all one color build. Like I dread when I build wherever my Batmobile is, the Batmobile. I mean, it's 99% black pieces.
yeah,
Yes, there's some different color on the inside for some filler and Technic and whatever, but it's basically all black.
yeah.
That's not good.
So like
I'm
I do
not
the
going to
kind of the
enjoy
same
that.
thing. Like let's take this A7 for instance. It's essentially two colors. So when I get the parts, I'll just sort it into two piles, like a gray pile and then a white pile.
Yeah.
But there's some green in there, especially with the bombs. But yeah,
I mean,
I
to
gotta
save
find.
space, I've learned over the years that what you can do is because the human eye is great at separating color.
Yep.
So put the pieces that are the same style pieces. So 1x4 plates, let's say. Well, if you got it in two, three, four colors, you put them all together. Your eye will separate color just fine.
Oh, so it is better to separate by piece type than by.
I'm definitely moving in that direction,
Yeah.
learning that if I want more efficient use of my space, instead of having three bins with the 1x4 spread out by color, sorted by color, put them all in the one, occupy the one bin. I can pull them out. I know where they are, and your eye separates color just fine, white, black, and blue, or whatever, or dark gray, white, and whatever. Hey, Shy.
Hey, there he is. We were just talking about you.
Yes, yes.
My 53 is swooshable because I said it is.
Swoosh.
Well, the A7 is kind of swooshable. Not really, but
Oh my goodness.
yeah. It's kind of funny on this one. My friend's dad used to fly this aircraft. And then a friend of mine who was a plane captain in not this squadron, but on the A7. His name is on the wheel well there. So this was a fun build. This is if you saw the F8, this is what happens when your F8 doesn't go to the gym because it's kind of fat. But the F8's like slender. So yeah, fun stuff.
Shy probably remembers a bunch of weeks ago when he was on Hive Stream, and I was just oogling over his sets. You know, he had the one or two fighters on the floor, and then one or two way up in the sky behind him. And it's like, oh, oh man,
I did when I saw that 53. I watched his build video. I'm like, I must have it.
yeah.
But it's a baby. It really like.
And it kills me that so
Oh.
many people couldn't appreciate what he had there. It's like, no,
I did see the Super Hornets. Those are sweet, man. Those are pretty cool. I want to get a growler though. I want to get a 2-seat F-18F and just make it a EA-18G growler instead. But
oh,
because I should find it, but I did build the. So for in electronic warfare, they use the. It's a jamming pod. It's called the ALQ1, ANALQ1. No, ANALQ 99 tactical jamming system pod, and the Prowler, which is similar to the A6 Intruder. I don't know if you see my A6 back there, but it's a 4-seat airplane, and they carried 4 of them. So now the Growler replaced the Prowler, and they still use the same jamming device, jamming system. Well, not really the same, but like superficially the same. So I built one in Lego, but I don't have anything to haul it on, so I may need to. I need to buy a 2-seat F-18F since I have the E, and I need to build a Legacy Hornet too. But yeah,
I tell you, I gotta get Shy on the next time, and then you know what? I could go take a walk, and you two could go back and forth, and definitely speak more of the same language. Oh my goodness!
yeah. I want to
I,
do. I like the V20. I think he's got a V22. I can't remember. I like that airplane. I want to build one of those too, but not the Technic one that ran into all that controversy. I think there's some good mocks on like Etsy and those kinds of places that have it. So I may do that.
you know what I'm thinking? What's a good American holiday that's military
Yeah, I guess
based?
that's coming up like
Well,
Memorial Day. Not really a
Memorial
good
Day.
American
Well,
holiday, but I don't know. I've always
Independence
wanted to
Day.
build. I still want to
Independence
do
Day.
like a lot of the SAM systems too, like a lot of the Russian mobile SAM systems. I need to finish too. We'll stick to naval aircraft for now.
I would almost love to have you both on and have you showcase maybe your favorite 2 sets or favorite 3 sets.
Oh man, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't say. Just play with that in your head, and maybe we'll figure out a date for that.
that'd be cool.
Of course, if you guys aren't busy with family festivities and such at that
I
time.
don't work for a living.
See, for me, it's weird in Canada because you got July 1st and July 4th. So, you got Independence Day and then we got Canada Day. And while we don't celebrate the American one, it always seems to work out that, they're only 4 days apart. So I know I try and book them off anyway.
Yeah,
Because if nothing else, there's always something good on TV and watch some fireworks and whatever.
nice.
See, Shy's thinking, see. It's always hard. I mean, some people can very easily think, "Oh, that's my favorite baby." But it's like between favorite build, most expensive build. I mean, there's so
Yeah,
many criteria. Most realistic because sometimes that's more important. I mean, then
it's hard to
there's
say
then
because like
there's
now that
nostalgic builds or ones that have
yeah,
personal. Like you definitely have a lot that are nostalgic or have
I go
personal
through
feelings
phases.
attached.
Yeah, I kind of go through phases. I mean, the A6 was one of mine for a while. The F8, I mean, that's just like an all-time favorite. The when I did the Vigilante, I mean, that thing is just so ostentatious and out there. I mean, that thing was. I mean, it's a cool airplane to begin with, but building it was fun.
Yeah.
And now that everybody's doing a Venom, like I've got a Venom, and Brickmania just came out with that one, and yeah, I don't know.
So I know last time when I had you on, I put you on the hot seat that you should really be doing more stuff on screen here. This
Yeah, I probably
this should be
should.
this should, this should be your channel, and I should be a guest on your thing, and
Yeah,
you know.
I used to
So what do you
write
think?
for
So when's that happening?
I
You
don't know
still
yet.
playing with that
Actually,
idea?
it's kind of funny you mentioned that because I did used to write for a military blog back in the day, just because I used to do a lot of historical research and that kind of thing, and then I did a podcast for a little while centered around mostly naval topics, but yeah,
Because
I
yeah,
used to.
it doesn't have to be toy bricks. Absolutely. I
No,
mean,
no, no.
that could just be
Well,
one small piece.
I mean, let's say I'm doing like the A7, right? So like I want to go out and talk to a bunch of A7 guys about not yes building it, but like what it was like to fly it and maintain it. Um, yeah, so maybe not just strictly like the Lego, not just strictly the Lego stuff.
Because I'm not sure if you're familiar with Open Build Repeat. He's got
No.
a he's got a channel. He's got a couple channels, but one of them is he's of course building brick sets. And when he did the shuttle, he did something no one else I've seen do, and he of course did a speed build on part of his screen. And I'm not sure if he had done that live and then just showed us the edited footage of that. But what he had done in the review video was he took his family to one of the museums down there to see the NASA museum to see, the shuttle and blah blah blah. And it's like, and they're going through it, and the kids and just see, and he did some narration over it, and it's
Hmm.
like that's the future for some kind of brick build reviews. And it's like, and in
Yeah,
your case, with your experience and your knowledge and your enthusiasm for the theme, and of course it goes well beyond bricks, but into everything military. And it's like you
yeah, I'm a big
definitely you
fan. I
definitely
like.
got a unique, you got a very unique perspective that
I
no one
wasn't.
has.
I wasn't sure if I did or not, but yeah, now that you mention it, like I like doing like the photo or video like walk around. Like go find, hey, let me go find me an A7 in the museum, and we'll talk about building it. Then we'll go look and do a walk around, and then we'll break out the NATOPS manual and do a pre-flight and walk around, all that kind of thing. But I wouldn't even mind doing a thing where like, you talk to the guys that have kind of been there, done that, and those are like, that's the funnest part for me is to talk to guys that flew the airplane.
Yeah, what I see for you is you're building it. Maybe you build it on a live stream, like I'll build something on a live stream. So you have that. So you're talking, you're interacting with like-minded fans of either the bricks or the military or both in aviation, and you're doing that. Then you take that footage and you time lapse it, speed it up, whatever. So you have 3 to 5 minutes of whatever the build is as it's building.
Mm-hmm.
But as that's going on, you are talking or interviewing, going through some history, some books, museums, interviews, whatever. That's what I see because I think you have a totally unique take on all of this. And
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. I should definitely do that.
yeah,
Maybe I'll do that for the A3. I don't know.
you know, yeah, and choose something that that it's not set the bar low, but set, don't make it an impossible goal. Whatever you're gonna tie into the video, it's like, yeah, I can do this, and I know I can go there, and I can talk to him because I got this connection, and like,
Yeah. Like one of the cool things I like to do is like you do the build, you take a ton of photos, and like Facebook has a group for everything. And sure enough, there's an A6 guy group, there's, F-14 group or a A7 or, whatever type of aircraft, for all these back here. And they love them. Like the guys that flew them, that maintained them, that, are really familiar, way more familiar with them than I'm ever going to be.
yeah,
Really love that stuff. And who
oh
hates Lego? I mean, come on.
yeah, and in the case of like, even if there's not a Lego person you can hit up or something, it's like you said, they're gonna love it, and they're not gonna turn away from it, especially when you show them, look, this is what I did, and either whether it's a mock or instructions or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna turn heads for sure.
Yeah, where my parents live, they keep photos, and they my dad's a vet, and where they live, they show vets photos of all the stuff that I build all the time, which is kind of cool. So
Awesome. I tell you, you know, I'm really hoping that you get a little serious about this because I know I'm going to be watching. That's for sure.
I need to. Work's been well. Work is work. I mean, it really hasn't changed,
Yeah.
for me flying. But yeah, I need to.
And look at it this way: you could do it, and it doesn't have to be something you do in a day. This could be, you do your build, and then in 2 weeks you talk to someone, and 2 weeks
Hmm.
after that you get these photos from whatever museum.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a beautiful thing. I mean, I've got half done reviews. Honestly, I'm a bad procrastinator from last October on some of my military builds, from Kazi. I'm trying to remember the companies now. Kobe, Kazi, Shenyang, and Jingdao, and then of course Call of Duty Mega Constructs. From last October. I am so bad.
Have you ever built anything with Oxford?
Yes,
I've got that. I don't.
um,
I don't know if you can see it, but
ti-
that dragon wagon I got.
Titanic, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that dragon wagon I have back there is an Oxford build with that Sherman sitting on it.
What do you think of Oxford?
I don't know. I mean, I really wanted a dragon wagon, and I didn't like doing a lot of the research into the vehicle. Like, I don't know why Brick Mania did theirs in like that gray. Um, yeah, that's true. Um, I know I've had people even like asking me to make videos of like flying the jet into like whatever airport, like and doing like a fast forward, but like that gets into some
I
non-disclosure stuff that I can't.
Okay, now it's funny. So we've got a family friend, and he, of course, has been affected by COVID and the grounding of a lot of the Canadian airlines. Um, but he used to, and I don't know how he was allowed to do this, but he was recording a lot of takeoffs and landings and posting it. And I'm loving it. And it's not like I'm going to turn him in, but I'm thinking like, and I'm hearing the
Oh
audio.
yeah,
I'm hearing the
that
audio.
makes
It's like,
sense.
is that allowed? Can he even do that? It's like, so I go, you know what you're doing? Oh yeah. Like, and
Yeah.
of course the response was, "Oh, other people are doing it." It's like, that's not the right response. That's not the answer.
No, I mean I've got to go because I've got old GoPros that I used when I was flying a friend's L-39. Yeah, that makes sense about the green. Okay, that's why I got the Oxford Dragon Wagon because it was in green and I liked it. But um, when I was flying the L-39, like I did like a helmet mounted GoPro, and this is in like the 2010s, and that's just video that's just sitting there that I haven't done anything with. But I work stuff I can't do because they get kind of nervous about the non-disclosure kind of stuff. But
Yeah, yeah. I get nervous too. I'm just thinking about it. It's like, I mean, I love authentic, real world footage of stuff, but it's like, I don't want anyone losing a job over it.
yeah,
Hey, Master Microwave, you're catching us on the end here, brother. Where you been? I tell you, I've enjoyed myself.
yeah, me
This has
too.
been this has
Actually,
been a lot of fun.
yeah, I like talking about the hardware. I like Legos.
Next time, actually, well, you can answer this now. I mean, there'll be a next time, but so you've got the military stuff, the aviation, you got choppers, you got the aircraft,
Helos is a Navy term. I'm just kidding.
helos. Sorry. Um, hey, I grew up on Airwolf and Blue Thunder, and to me, there isn't any other choppers.
Get to the chopper.
Well, no.
I just like the Navy term.
Uh,
But anyway,
I, um, outside of that, any love for any brick sets or themes?
um, the Central Perk one was kind of a one-off kind of thing because I like Friends. I like the TV show. Um,
Because there's a rumor of another Friends set coming, eh? It's
I
going
didn't
to
hear
be the.
about that.
I think it's going to be the apartment.
Oh, really? That would
Yeah,
be cool.
I think it's going to be very cool,
That
especially
would
if you
be
do it.
cool.
I want the apartment and I want a big turkey piece. I tell you,
Um,
I was a
in a
big
lot
fan
of
of that
ways,
show.
like sticking to the naval centric stuff really kind of like it's less expensive for sure because there's only like a narrow field, that I'll play around in. And other themes, maybe like the Russian surface to air missile stuff. Um, the Lego stuff. I really any Lego Sans. Like I know I have a Brickmania Hawk missile system. Um, man, kind of out. With having all the helicopters and stuff, it's like tempting to like do like go buy myself some Seal minifigs just real quick to complete that.
Yeah,
But um,
like you weren't tempted to get the Technic Osprey when it was
no, no, I
available
didn't
for
want it.
30 seconds on half, a
No.
quarter of the planet.
Yeah, when Brickmania had it, they ran into some legal issues. I did want that kit, but I did go on Etsy and buy the mock, so I'll probably either build a CMV. No, I'll be either build the MV22 or the CMV22.
I know a lot of people who just said screw Lego, and the fact that they can't buy it legit and whatever, they're gonna go to AliExpress and pick it up for $100 or less.
Well, now that Lego bought Bricklink, I'm kind of like wondering when they're going to screw it up.
Oh,
You
what,
know,
like pull sets off?
well, just like it's a big big faceless corporation buys like a small guy, and the reputation that's maintained by small guy goes away because it just gets eaten by the big guy.
Well, they've already. So I run Canada's biggest Facebook group, and I should say only, well, not only, but biggest Facebook group for Bricklink stores. I basically, how can I put this? I messaged every Canadian store on Bricklink, and then I was more or less banned from the service temporarily.
Wow.
Well, because I wanted to invite them to a place on Facebook where they can all gather, all talk,
Mhm.
because Bricklink's forums thing is garbage. It's 20-year-old software. I'm surprised it still runs. It's horrible. And there's no real good way to talk or converse or self promote in a big way. Whereas my Facebook group, Bricklink Lego Stores of Canada, they can all promote their stores every day, post as many ads as they want. I don't consider it spam. I encourage them that if they got a YouTube presence or anything else, promote it as well. If they got sales on stuff or want to showcase something, do whatever you can because it's just another way that me and other people can buy Lego. And you know what? If it helps them get around some of the Bricklink fees, so be it. Because,
Mhm.
cheaper Lego for everybody is a good thing as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But so many of these stores have been so pissed off since the purchase. Because slowly, it's not like Lego is fixing the underpinnings of the service. They're not. They haven't, not really. But they're fine tuning the rules and stuff. So some people, where there was a really good way to sell an incomplete figure, or even an old figure that was rare but might have a crack or something in it. So you would list it. Let's say it was. I'm actually going to be very specific. Green Goblin figure was supposed to have a neck piece that allows you to put something on the back. If you list it without that neck piece, now they're starting to say it's incomplete and you can't list it. Now you can have incomplete Lego sets on the service, but if
Mhm.
you got an incomplete minifigure, now they're going after you because you used to be able to use custom text to say this figure's incomplete or this
Oh
figure has
yeah,
a broken torso or whatever.
yeah.
But now they're using um,
So if it's like an accessory to a minifig, like a
especially with the accessories is a
like a
big
scuba
problem.
guy, like the oxygen tanks or something.
Yeah, and the rules are very inconsistent for the figures because for some figures something is an accessory and for other figures it's not.
Hmm.
And it's been very arbitrary. And some of my Bricklink stores, I shouldn't say mine, but some of the Canadian Bricklink stores that are in our group, they're very vocal, and it's like their business has been harmed because if you take that same Green Goblin figure, which you used to be able to list, and I guess it's rarish or whatever, people are willing to buy it in that condition as long as you're honest about it
Yeah.
and list it properly. Well, now he can't list it as that figure. He's tried every which way, even through custom listings and everything. Lego say Bricklinks, haha, Lego, whatever, same thing. They're saying no, you can't list it that way anymore. If he sells it as individual parts, it's honestly only worth a quarter.
Hmm.
Now, of course, hey, we would all like to pay a quarter for the thing, but you're hunting it down as individual parts.
Yeah.
I would rather hunt down a figure. Yeah, I know it costs more, but you're hunting down a figure generally. You want the figure complete, especially with same age, same era, specific parts, whatever. As soon as you start saying green legs, which are very common, that Green Goblin figure is going to have standard green legs, but it's got a printed torso. Now you're going to get stuff mismatched. Whereas he'll sell you the era specific figure with its missing part or broken part or whatever before. And this is extrapolated across the service, not just with minifigures, but with a whole bunch of stuff that,
Hmm.
not that they were sketchy items, but stuff that might have been broken or might be missing one or two items or whatever. And we know with a lot of older, rare stuff, these are things we put up with. As long as people are honest with us, we buy it. And Lego's taking some of that choice away. And it's
Hmm.
like, oh. And they're driving some people to the other service, like Brick Owl. That's a
Yeah.
competing service. A lot of people like it.
Hmm.
And basically, my group is also inclusive. We do allow, even though it's Bricklink in the name, we encourage Brick Owl to also come and post and do their thing. And a lot of people run on both services anyway. They hedge their bets and they figure, well, if I got a store and I can use Brick Sync, I think it's called, to sync between both services, then that's what they do. So they'll run their same store on both services.
Yeah.
For the most part, it works fine with a few hiccups. But yeah, it definitely leaves a dirty taste in our mouth, after Lego bought that. And we all know there's only one good thing that can come out of it. And this is what I'm hopeful for, is that a common naming convention for the colors.
Hmm.
There's nothing worse than Lego has a color and Bricklink has a color. And it's so confusing. And of course,
Oh,
some of the names are dumb no
yeah.
matter which one you choose.
I ran into that issue all the time because I mean, if you ever want to jump into a hole about like how the Navy Marine Corps names or colors for stuff in airplanes, I've
Oh,
got like 20 books on it, and I can't find matching colors for a lot of things I want to do.
I got a book here somewhere that
That's
some
why.
doctor
That's why I
wrote,
like
and
the
it's
sequencing.
literally the colors of Lego. And this
Oh wow, yeah,
doctor wrote the CMYK numbers and Lego's numbers and Bricklink's color coding
yep.
for all of these colors that Lego has produced over the years. And they come out with a new edition every year or two on Amazon. Not hard to find. It's way overpriced, 30,
Yeah, that's
35
why
bucks.
the SH3, like that color is hard to find that he did.
Uh,
I spent a week doing research to build another similar. Well, it's a Shy will know it, a CH46 frog, but yeah, that's the same thing I hit. But yeah, I think I want to round out the naval collection. So I've got after the A3 gets built, I'll have every naval attack carrier-borne attack aircraft in the U.S. Man, that swordfish though that Brickmania just came out with is really tempting, but it's not. Royal Naval UK Naval Aviation is like a whole nother rabbit hole. But I would just need a TBD Devastator to round out the attack aircraft, and then I've got a whole bunch of fighters that I haven't built yet that I'd like to build. So the Phantom, the Legacy Hornet, the and the support aircraft. So the Hawkeye, the Greyhound, the Stoof, and the War Hoover, the Viking S3 Viking.
I'm gonna have to find me a UK enthusiast just to find someone to challenge you.
Knickerbocker Glory, Kevin Copas is a
Oh,
really good.
really?
Yeah, go find him. He's a great. He's done a lot of my. I have some of his stuff, a lot of his stuff that he's like. I asked him to build for me,
Ooh.
and I pay him for it. Yeah, you should look him up.
Oh,
Knickerbocker Glory,
I,
Knickerbricker Glory.
okay.
I'll send you the link on Facebook.
That'll be cool.
But he's built a lot of really cool uh, kits that are like he's a really good builder. He built a minifig size like Vulcan bomber.
Oh,
Oh, dude, and that thing is like amazing. Like it's freaking huge.
I'm guessing he's taken that to shows or
Yeah,
conventions.
yeah.
Yes, because
He's on Instagram too, so a lot of his stuff is there. And like I said, he's built some of my stuff for me. So yeah,
Oh, you're definitely going to share some links in the next couple of days with me.
Yeah, I'll send you. I recommended a UK guy because he wanted a. What did he want? He wanted a Hawker Hunter, and he got one. He got one built for him. So if you ask him to build you something, he'll build it for you.
Wow, commission
Yeah.
commission bills.
Yep.
That's a whole other. Oh no,
He built
I'm
that.
just
I
watching
got it.
money disappear.
I know. I gotta show. I gotta send you a picture of that Vulcan. Well, it's on his Instagram, but it's like Knickerbocker Glory is the his like company name. But yeah, the Vulcan bomber was just beautiful. Like I cried. That thing was so big in minifig scale.
Oh,
It was awesome.
hey,
He built a
Stud
lot of the
City, where
UK
were you
stuff.
earlier? You missed a lot of great sets, buddy.
That's recorded. I'll show the Sea King one more time. Because if you remember I want to recreate that scene in the movie The Hunt for Red October. You know where he like goes on the
No.
submarine. That would be cool. That'd be cool to like see him come in hovering over the. So that's what we worked on earlier or looked
You
at
know,
earlier.
yeah, you know when Connery, when he passed, that's what I was watching
Oh
for.
really?
It must be, I don't know, the 20th time in my life I've watched that movie. I never get bored of it. Oh my god, it's so good.
I know. I really love this thing.
You know, I look at this and it's like this could be the last year I just buy branded Lego, and it's like, and then just buy 4 sets a year from
Yeah.
some of you, from Brickmania and NK Customs or whatever, because I know I'm going to have just as big a smile on my face if I have 4 of those sets, or if I have 20 of these.
Oh, if
Um,
I could build a Phantom in non-Lego parts and it cost me less, I would do it. I don't care if it's Lego or not.
yeah,
I just think an F4 Phantom would look badass in Lego and probably cost me less than building it in all Lego.
I might have an AliExpress link for you for that.
Oh
See
yeah.
what I can find. Yeah, you know, it'll come in a gray bag, and the instructions will be half mangled, and it'll take 6 weeks. Well, no, because sometimes it's some of those Chinese sets from AliExpress are just crazy. I mean, big gray pack, you know, even wrapped in garbage bags with tape,
Oh
and
yeah. The slew bomb
um,
blocks, right? I've got
that's absolute. Well, some, yeah, you can
yeah.
absolutely get box slew band stuff, but
I got the bags.
there's
I
a
have a few of their
whole lot
destroyers.
from Chinese, like from
Yeah.
Alibaba or AliExpress, and yeah, it'll be gray packed or garbage bag wrapped, and
Yep. Been there,
but
done that.
but I've never had one missing parts or
Whoop. Me either.
you know, and they always arrive intact. It's just the manuals are always bent 4 different ways, and if there's stickers, you usually cry a little bit, but yeah,
Okay,
wow,
something fell. Uh,
no. Now, do you know where it goes?
yeah, I do.
Okay.
The nose on this thing, like, was just like I said. I dropped it so many times. It's just unbelievable.
Well, Jason, I want to thank you. This has been a great evening.
Yeah, it's been fun, man. I'd like to get Shy on and chat with him too. That'd be awesome sometime. I'm
Oh,
really glad he showed up in
absolutely.
the chat.
Yeah,
I've been watching his stuff
he
for a
drops
long
by
time.
from time to time.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see him.
All right,
But
man.
we have a commitment from him, though. See, where is it? He said it somewhere. We got you
That's
recorded
that's
here
a that's a
somewhere.
written agreement right there.
That's a written
That's legally
agreement.
binding.
Yeah, North American treaty between Canada and the U.S. There's got to be something in there that's binding between our two nations. But yeah, thanks for joining me on my new rebranded new bricks this week.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I
I
appreciate it.
got to show
Thank
off
you,
some new
everybody.
stuff, and we got to talk, and
Yeah, all good.
I always
It
enjoy
was fun.
talking to you. Hey, look at
All
that!
right,
There we go. There it is. It's
there we
in
go.
writing. It's in. It's in English on my screen. All right. Thanks, everyone. I hope
All right,
everyone has a
thanks,
good
guys.
night. Take it easy. Peace.
Yep. Bye.
And with Jason out. Oh, that was great. I had a good time with that. And thank you again, Jason Camlic. I got his Instagram on the scroller there at the bottom. Didn't realize I had it going the whole time, but that's okay. And you take it easy, Shy. Thanks for dropping by. Stud City. Check him out on the YouTubes. Master Microwave. Not sure if you're still around, but thanks everyone who was here earlier. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. And I don't know who my next big guest is. I might have Brik Maniac as a focus to talk about his new YouTube adventures. He's breaking in, and he's definitely got some interesting projects he's working on, and we're going to see a lot of that in the future. I've got an interview coming up with Lord of the Figs, Bricklink Store, Canadian, good friend, Ken Wentz. Should be interesting. May. We're going to try and line them both up for May. So, with that being said, we are done for the night. Take it easy, everyone. Peace.